Welcome to the second part of the first chapter in Environment Education, Humans and Environment. Natural resources are a gift to human life. Good conditions of air, water, soil, and biodiversity enhance our well-being and our health. And on the other hand, unhealthy environment increases stress, anxiety, and outbreaks of different diseases. If we consider water, 50% of the population of the country does not have access to potable water. 80% of diseases are airborne. Toxic effluents, discharge of untreated sewage, organic loads in water bodies, pesticides, synthetic organic chemicals, persistent organic chemicals, all these are released in the surface as well as groundwaters and all affect human health. Air is a movable entity and it affects global health. More than 3 million deaths occur in India due to air pollution. 3 million, that's correct. Global warming, vehicular pollution, carbon dioxide, smog, congested, unhygienic microbial growth in the air, all these lead to basic problems of health in human beings. The basic necessity of life is actually pure air. When the quality degrades, the quality of all life degrades. Non-biodegradable compounds, chemicals, POPs, etc. enter into food chains and they cause biomagnification. Health is deteriorated due to contaminated food, which results due to inappropriate agricultural practices. Nuclear tests, the warfare in countries, and also accidents in radioactive nuclear plants destroy the environment in that area. Let's look at then what are the environmental ethics that we should be following. As you know, all the species have equal right to all the resources and also to have a right to compete for equal opportunities and comfort. That's the guiding principles of environmental ethics. The right of the environment should take precedence over the right of an individual because it is linked to the entire welfare of all life forms on Earth. So look at this. All the creatures of nature have therefore equal right to live and to cherish it for their entire span of life. We don't have a right to take it away from anyone. We need to think about these rights of nature. We must accept these. That is, all organisms have a right to live in a peaceful, good, clean environment. Everyone needs to have compassion to life and with equal right to natural resources. Human rights to health, safe and secure environment are not to be denied. We have to have environmental resources and areas free from pollution, free from degradation of all the factors, air, water or the environment. We have a right to live in peaceful, good environments, and this is what will help us to sustain the environment also. Do you agree? So if you look at our human rights and the environment, then of course we have a right to enjoy natural ecosystems and their rich biodiversity in just and equitable manner. The just and equitable being very important. To lead a dignified life and legitimate needs, to have needs which don't over exceed and become greed. Understand that, right? We have a right to take environmental information, education, or to participate in environmental discussions, and very importantly, to create awareness about the environment to others. Right of future generations to fulfill their own needs, very important, and we need to keep this intact for them. Value education. This is very important. Ancient India had developed values in human beings by family and Gurukul education. Value education in reference to environment is expected to bring about a thinking for sustainable lifestyle for everyone in society. Environmental values need to be inculcated through a process of appreciating our natural assets and act for conservation of these different assets. That is of utmost importance. Why? Because when we don't do that, and when most of our actions have adverse environmental impacts, then we have a problem ourselves also. So we need to very consciously avoid having these environmental impacts which are harmful for everyone at large. Look at these earths, compare them. What do you find? Appreciating the negative effects of our actions on the environment must become a part of our day-to-day thinking. Every day has to be a day when you think of, is my action detrimental to the environment? Or is my action positive for the environment? It has to be a part of our daily thinking, daily actions. And why? Because each action is linked to environmental consequences. So when we do positive actions, a value is created. And this value in turn will strengthen all the pro-environmental behavior, which is very important for the conservation of environment, and it will prevent anti-environment action. And this has to, like we keep saying, has to happen each day. Only then will our earth be safeguarded. Look at some of the values, and I'm going to read out that to you. Pro-conservation actions, we need to think about them always and act upon it. Understanding and appreciating the importance of conservation, the need for it. Appreciating the negative effects of our action. So appreciating the fact that perhaps my buying plastic is detrimental and I should not do it. Very important. Link action to consequences. So when I buy things which are not plastic, I am not adding things which will be dumped on the earth for 500 years. So you link your action to the consequences. And it's not just for your own generation, but for the future generation as well. New educational policies have to be created. This environment sustainability that we all need to start doing is by also creating better policies and better educational awareness so that pro-conservation actions are taken very automatically by people. That is the key. Pro-environmental lobbying, this has to be created. So if there are trees being cut, if there is a problem in the constituency regarding any kind of environmental anti-action, people have to get together. People have to lobby. We are a democracy and we can definitely bring about changes when we start saying no to actions which are taken politically. Because ultimately, they all are for our benefit. When we don't want it, they will not be taken. Very simple. Look at these animals. Okay, look at their grandeur. Our national bird, our national animal, or elephants, grand, majestic, huge beings, okay, with a lot of dignity, a lot of intelligence. Or the eagle which takes flight, which actually must have provoked people to come up with the idea of aeroplanes because we can't fly like them, right? All these things basically only by their living have had major positive actions. Lush green forests, great power of the ocean waves, tranquility of the Himalayan mountains. All these are things that give us value. And even if we don't experience them, we know that they are valuable, right? So we need to understand that all of these have a value and there's a name for that value. And it's called the existence value. So we have to pay a lot of attention to this existence value of all other beings, be it a small bug or a huge gigantic animal. Every one of them have existence value. And unless we learn to value these landscapes or preserve these landscapes and value these animals, they will disappear and we will have a huge heritage lost. Do we really want that? We need to think about this. And we need to think about this and take action. That's of utmost importance too. The equitable use of resources is essential for human beings, and of course, this will make everybody socially and environmentally conscious. There are several commonly owned resources that all of us use as a community. Rivers, lakes, common property resources. Everything needs conservation and protection. Don't you think so? There are these small things that I have put up here which we need to do, but which will definitely go a long way in giving protection to our entities. I hope you think about this deeply, and I hope you go back and read the lesson and reflect upon this and do a good job of it and see that you're proactive. Thank you.